Hey everybody, it's Jess. I hope you all are doing well. My sermon topic is remembering the hand of God. The passage I would use is Joshua 3:14 to 4:17, and then verses 19 through 24 in chapter 4. The focus is we need to remember that God has done things in our lives and in the lives of those who have gone before us. And the function is to challenge people to remember the hand of God in their lives and how God has moved in past generations. My outline, the introduction would be reading the text and just bringing up the topic of remembering that God's hand is in our everyday life. I would talk about the memorial stones mentioned in the text and explain a little bit about what they are. More than just a pile of rocks, they help the people remember what God had done that day in that passage in Joshua. And then God also wants them to use it as a teaching tool for future generations, to let them be able to teach their children and their children's children when they ask what those rocks are for, to teach them about God's hand of provision and what God did on that day. Then I would move to how the passage would apply to us today. We need to remember the things that God has done in our lives and the lives of those who have gone before us. That it's not that God's hand of provision is just today, that it's been from the beginning of time. And then we must teach the next generation about how God's hand of provision is continual and that it's not just their generation that's seeing Him. I would also go over how God's hand of provision comes in many different ways, that it's not always going to be the same way. And then I would talk about how communion is a way for us to do kind of a memorial stones symbol of remembering how God has changed us and what He's done for us. Then I would give an example of memorial stones through our cohort when it was ending last spring. We each took a rock and we made the rock represent something that we would remember and cherish from that group of people, that we had learned from them, that God had provided us with. And at the end, one of the guys went up and piled all our rocks together and said that it was a memorial to what God had done in each of us and what He's done during that time in that place. And each of us took a rock home to remember what God's hand had done. And then I would conclude by challenging people to write down what they would share with future generations about what God had done with them. And that would be it. Thanks everybody. Hope you're having a good week. Bye.